Malcolm is expected back in July, so Becky can expect his proposal in person. As for the wedding, she wants to be an October bride, and we wish them both the best. 70-year-old man was transported by AeroCare to the hospital after being hit with shrapnel in the leg, actually in a major artery. And we understand this explosion happened near a cotton gin.
Yeah, neighbors tell us that...
Es mucho, pero me encanta mi trabajo y es un placer, de verdad.
Pues a nosotros es una gran ayuda y encantado de que estés en el equipo de Sí Se Puede.
Bueno, gracias por invitarme, mucho.
¿Y aquí qué vamos a presentar ahora? ¿Qué información nos tienes?
Sí, vamos a empezar con un gran cuenta, de verdad. Erika Ponce es la primera hispana para ganar el título de Miss Lubbock 2005.
Construction project could continue for decades. Phase 4, which stretches from Avenue L to I-27, will cost $55 million. And right now, there's no funding.
Be wet. I'm going to show you a mistake I made. I'm wearing cotton pants. Don't mind my color clashing. If you can see, I'm only standing out here a few minutes, and I'm already 3 inches deep with my cuffs in this rain. It is so wet. Now, besides it just being wet, Jacob, our photographer here, is going to pan up to that light post, because you can't tell just looking at me that the snow's actually coming in sideways. It is super windy out here. Ron, I know you were talking about a wind chill earlier, and that is certainly the case.
Aaron Kennedy joins us now live in our newsroom with more on this story. Aaron?
That's right, Randy. As you mentioned earlier, these two cases are similar to one big puzzle. The sheriff's office has gained substantial information in the past year, but it's that last piece of the puzzle that's eventually going to complete the picture and solve the murders. And they are confident that a name will lead to an arrest.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm KMAC 28's Aaron Kennedy. We have some breaking news to report this afternoon. Around 7:45 this morning, police responded to a check subject call here at the Windcrest Estacado Apartments on 512 North Martin Luther King Boulevard. When they arrived here at apartment 4101, they found single mother 45-year-old Tammy Cooper, her 11-year-old daughter Jasmine Mahogany Allen, and her 2 twin 9-year-old boys, Cadiz Allen and Kashelm Allen. A friend discovered their bodies when she came to pick the kids up for school. She noticed that the door was ajar. Police are thinking that there might not have been forced entry because the door was ajar. Police described the scene as bloody and violent. The bodies were found in the bedroom, the living room, and the kitchen. And since there was a struggle, there was furniture overturned. Police believe that the suspect may have gone to a local hospital and he may be injured. They're asking anyone with any information to please come forward and contact the Lubbock Police at 741-1000. Of course, stay with KMAC 28 and we will keep you advised. I just spoke with Lieutenant Victor Quintana. He told us that we will have an update at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, Carla, what most students and tech parents don't know is that Texas Tech officers basically have 2 choices when dealing with students. If hand-to-hand force isn't working or if their presence isn't enough, the officers are required to use deadly force against the student. Well, Carla, they're upset and frustrated. Even though there were witnesses, none have the same story. In fact, some say that Willis just found the gun and accidentally shot himself. Others say Willis got the gun from a family friend. So right now, all Ronald's family really wants is the truth and closure. This is the uniform that the Cowboys will be wearing when they walk out on Thanksgiving Day, the same uniform that they wore in 1960. As Tracy just mentioned, even though the Cooper family actually lived in this complex with other families, a lot of people are saying that they just have no idea what happened. Most neighbors say this is a quiet community. In fact, I spoke with one woman who said she moved here to get away from the... Besides spending time with his family, his 6 brothers and sisters, Ronald loved to ride his bike, and he'd often ride it over here to the Parkway Village Apartments so he could hang out with his friends. The official word is Cowboy correspondent, but we are here with the only Redskins fan in the bar. Trey, tell us, you said you're diehard.
I grew up in Washington, lived there my whole life. Forced to move here to Texas because my wife made me move, so.
And so here, anybody thrown things at you yet?
What's that?
Anybody thrown anything at you?
Not yet.
Anybody? No, okay, Trey, so thank you. We appreciate it very much. If anybody wants to come down here and tell Trey otherwise, you better hurry. In the meantime, back to you, David.
Go Redskins.
Maestros que quieren demostrar la tradición a los estudiantes para explicar la tradición y sé dónde viene y eso.
Qué bien. Así es que las clases de la escuela están usando esto como an aid, a training aid.
Sí, clases de español en high school.
Frank must die. It's a slogan that's paying off for Sterling, Virginia, a family struggling with their son's medical bills.
You're wearing something fashionable instead of something keeping your feet warm, aren't you?
No excuses, Ron. You're right. I'm wearing sneakers and I have water that's coming up to my knees. Each time, okay, you can see the back of my pants here. We're getting snow on them. The back of my legs are completely wet because we're standing into the snow. Then I go into the live van where it's warm and then it all melts and then we come out here and I freeze and we do it all over again. No, we're having lots of fun this morning. The thing is, we are kind of being lighthearted about this, and I think we can because it's really, the roads are okay right now. There is a lot of standing water, but as far as ice, nothing like that is concerned. And no more of that, what was it? Thunderstorm clouds, snow clouds?
Yeah, something like
What is
that,
it?
Aaron. You got it. You're on the right track. There was a lightning bolt.
So
few
I
minutes
haven't
ago.
seen any more of that though, so it probably is, I'm assuming, safer than you might assume seeing all the snow out here.
They prefer another safety that plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Is that correct, Aaron?
That is correct, David. I actually might be taking this off a little bit later, but right now we're actually with Lynn Scott's aunt and uncle because you guys are just so proud of the work that he's done. Tell me a little bit about him.
Oh, he's just a small town kid that made good. I mean, a lot of hard work. He's got a bigger heart than he's got muscles, and he's got a brain, and he just gives it his all every play.
And tell me about the special gift that he just got his dad.
His dad's birthday was last week, and his dad had never had a new pickup in his life, and Lynn bought him a new pickup for his birthday.
That is so incredible because you describe him as a very humble and down-to-earth person who's just enjoying it while he can, right?
Yeah, he's just living the dream of every little kid that ever played football in the state of Texas, and he's just, like I say, he's just living a dream.
And you get a jersey for me.
Yeah, we saw you last week, or a couple of weeks ago, wearing the Roy Williams jersey, and we thought you looked good in it, but we thought you'd look better in a Lynn Scott jersey. So we brought you a Lynn Scott jersey.
And I really appreciate it, and that I will be putting that on in 1 second. And thank you so much for being here, and tell Lynn, obviously, that we wish him the best. In the meantime, David, I've got to go change, but
We're going to return to some breaking news right now. We have some video to show you of the accident. We begin with the breaking news about two men who had been injured after playing with a metal pipe. What had happened was they were stuffing the metal pipe with gunpowder and then putting golf balls into that pipe. When they lit the gunpowder, it would explode, sending the golf ball into the air. They were doing this with, we were told, a few friends, probably about 4 or 5 other witnesses. Now, then they decided that they wanted to use, instead of the golf ball, a potato, but by using that potato, it actually sealed the exit of the pipe, which then, when they lit it, exploded back into them.
Now you're looking at pictures there. Errol
Stuns his sweetheart in a Christmas greeting from Iraq. The holiday message from Iraq that we feature here on KMAC 28 always brings warm wishes from overseas to family members here on the South Plains. But one greeting sent to KMAC has a reservist man on his knees. Carla, a very special 8-year-old decided that his saved change would be better spent if it were donated. And so his $10 donation inspired all 645 Hardwick Elementary students to do the same. And so began the Pennies for Asia fundraiser. And actually each grade is going to compete against each other, and the class with the most cash wins a field trip to Breedlove Dehydrated Foods. In the car ride back, I took a bite out of at least everything. I do want to share.
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as you don't mind a bite out of every
one
pastry.
bite.
And it is delicious, absolutely wonderful. So,
And it was not just every pastry, but every part of every
What?
pastry that has.
I think that's my favorite one, so.
That's why you took more.
Get your hands off it. No. An Arizona woman says it's a miracle. She found an M&M with what she believes is the image of Christ. Diane Crossman says this peanut M&M was heaven sent. She got the holy candy out of a machine, and now she's put it on the auction block. So far, the M&M is up to 74 cents. Crossman says she'll keep the candy with Christ's image on her desk until it's sold. That way, everyone who comes into her office can judge for themselves whether or not the chocolate looks like. Con mucho orgullo, Erica Ponce demuestra su cinta. Como la primera hispana en ganar el título, describe el premio como un honor y una oportunidad. Tienes metas para las mujeres, las niñas. Dime sobre estas metas con las mujeres y las mujeres hispánicas.
Bueno, cuando era más joven, no tenía personas para decirme que yo pudiera hacer las cosas que tenía dentro de mi corazón.
I get to move my legs now, and in a wheelchair I didn't get to move my legs as much.
3 months ago, 6-year-old Candace Pope needed her mom's help to get around. Now, the little speed demon has grabbed the reins.
Why don't we call it a racehorse?
Okay, it's a racehorse.
And even wild horses couldn't slow her down.
She's just so happy. She almost makes her fall. She starts giggling and raising her hands and so excited.
Excitement that started back in Arizona, where Candace endured excruciating physical therapy.
Was it hard in Arizona? Were you doing some really hard stuff?
Yes, I slided on the table that was a wooden table, and it hurted me, so I had to hurry.
But the intense therapy has paid off. Only 2 months ago, Candace could barely reach her hand above her shoulder.
They only went about this long.
And how high do they go now? All the way to the sky.
Yes. I can touch the ceiling of the car now.
Every time we're in the car now, she's either kicking the back of the seat, trying to see how high she can get her feet, or she's trying to touch the ceiling, because she can touch the ceiling now.
Most moms would probably tell their child to stop kicking the seat. But to Cindy, each jolt is a blessing.
I'm like, go ahead, kick higher. Keep touching, touch with the other hand.
Almost as jarring, Candace has begun wondering why she can't walk and others can.
This trip is the first time she started asking me why she has cerebral palsy. Why me, Mama? And that's been different. So now she's like, well, I can still walk, though.
A determined little girl, wise enough to teach us all a very powerful lesson.
Don't take things for granted, you know, little things.
Erin Kennedy, KMAC 28 News.
Is the truth and closure.
What happened? What happened? What happened? You know, what happened to this baby? We want to know.
Sarah Lewis wants to know how her 11-year-old nephew ended up dead and why no one's talking.
We're hoping and praying that somebody will come forward and tell the police what actually happened, where we can get a closure to know, you know, what exactly happened to your child.
Sarah remembers that child as an innocent boy who loved bikes, an honor roll student who dreamed of visiting Italy.
He had asked me, he said, "Aunt Sarah, have you ever been to Italy?" I said, "No, I would love to. I've seen it on TV, and oh, it's so beautiful over there." And he told me that he was going to get to go there, and he said he was going to bring me a gift back.
Ronald's principal says every student at Alderson Academy will miss his spirit and generosity.
He was the one that whenever he saw you, he would give you great big bear hugs. To everybody, he just loved the bear hugs. I had my arm around him talking to him the other day, and he just looked up to me and said, "Miss Matson, I love you."
All I can say is it's so sad, such a tragic, that we had to lose him at this young age.
Principal Matson says Alderson Academy has 8 crisis counselors on hand to help all the teachers and students coping with Ronald's death.
I said, God knows there's something wrong. So I ran over there to Miss Gloria and told her, did she see Tammy? And they said they haven't saw Tammy. So I said, it's something wrong somewhere.
Friends and family began to worry when Tammy didn't answer her phone. Moments later, they found out Tammy and her 3 children had been brutally murdered.
My stepdaddy had came and he was like, "You better lock the door while you're here asleep," and you got the door unlocked. They just found this woman and her kids dead.
She never did hurt nobody. That's what I'm saying. She never did hurt nobody.
While neighbors waited for answers, they spent the morning remembering a loving mother and her 3 young children. Emily Fountain has known Tammy for 34 years, but they just recently reunited.
I was going to the mailbox and she asked me my name, and I told her, I said, "My name is Emily Fountain." She just jumped up and hugged me. I said, "Be careful, I just had surgery." She was so glad to see me.
She was in a suite, and her kids was real sweet. Them twins were real sweet, and the little girl was sweet. Yeah, she had some nice kids, though.
Tammy, Jasmine, Kadil, and Kashim had just moved back to Lubbock from Dallas. Neighbors say the Coopers had only been in their new apartment for 2 months. Now they want answers.
I didn't hear nothing last night, and I was up till like 3 o'clock. I didn't hear no gunshots or nothing. I don't know what could have happened.
Erin Kennedy.
Feliz año nuevo a todos.
Feliz año nuevo para ustedes también.
Gracias.
Vamos a platicar un poquito aquí con Erin.
Sí, verdad.
Pero como tú la entrevistaste antes, por favor, inicias la entrevista, por favor.
Sí, eso es que Erica es la primera hispana en ganar el título de Miss Lubbock 2005 y ella quiere decirnos sobre sus propósitos y porque tiene algunas metas, ¿verdad?
Sí, muchas metas. Bueno, primero
que eso fue la primera vez que tenía tenía ese talento en la competición, ¿verdad? Y creemos que sería la primera vez para Miss Texas. Creo que con Erica la cosa más importante es que ella tiene estas metas, pero sería la misma, the same mentoring program, aunque no tuviera la corona, ¿verdad? Es una pasión dentro de ¿verdad?
Yes. The gas tax actually hasn't even changed since 1991, and Governor Perry says it's something we need to look at changing if we want to fund highways in Texas.
I thought
And I've printed out some of these, and I'll pass one out to everybody so you can kind of look and see. This, if we were able to do something like this, this would be what we would be looking prototyping. Actually, it'll probably be easier if I just hand them to you guys. I'll pass them around there. If you'll look on there, you'll see. I don't know if all of you have been to the animal shelter before. We have two buildings there. Basically, we would create a new shelter other than the stray dog holding. Our stray dog holding area that we have now is only about 10 years old, and it's ways that we could minimize the cost of building a new shelter as opposed to having to redo everything. So we continue to use what we can. Anyways, the proposed design would increase dog adoption runs that we have from 24 to 34. We do have major issues with crowding because we don't have enough space to handle the number of animals that we deal with. City, the size of Lubbock should handle approximately 14,000 animals a year. We deal with over 24,000. So we are very much over what we should be. The proposed design would also allow us to keep sick animals separate. Our only option is to euthanize it. And there may be an owner that already knew the dog was sick and is at home and has medication for it and doing everything they can to take care of it, but we don't have any place to hold it to where it's not going to be a danger to the other animals, and also to where we're going to
Super Bowl. And welcome back. We're hanging out here in the community center. I'm joined by Debbie Tennyson from South Plains Wildlife, and this is a lovely owl. Now, what kind of owl is this again?
This is a burrowing owl, and his name is Hootie.
Hootie.
Hootie. He is one of our educational ambassadors. He's been with us for about 4 years, and we've used him for programs going into schools and civic groups, teaching about this wonderful species here on the South Plains.
Oh, wow.
These are the little owls that live with the prairie dogs, and one that's been much controversy lately. They coexist together because they take over old prairie dog burrows and actually live in the ground, whereas they help the prairie dogs watch for predators. They have wonderful eyesight and hearing and can hear predators coming, and of course prairie dogs have lots of predators. Coyotes, hawks, owls, bobcats, many species prey on them. So these kind of help and they coexist together, and that's kind of one thing that we try to teach the public is that we can coexist with all of these animals because most of them are very beneficial to the ecosystem, as is this little owl.
And so how does this little owl help the prairie dog? Because aren't owls usually the predators that swoop around? But that's for probably smaller things like mice.
Right. These guys primarily feed on small mice, insects. They can really clean up the grasshoppers and cicadas and things that harm farmers' fields and stuff. So they are very beneficial in that way. And they're very sweet. He's an adult, of course. He's not a baby. A lot of people think they see this tiny owl and it's a baby, but he's not. He's full grown.
This is the full grown.
Right.
Are the males larger than the females, or is it the other way around?
Actually, in birds of prey, almost all females are 25% larger than the male.
No, I'm not surprised.
So this one is fairly small. He weighs about 140 grams. which is not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And
I love how you can turn him, and his head will just stay still.
yeah, they have a round head that kind of works like a satellite dish that helps them to hear better, and it's kind of a discus shaped type thing, and they can't turn it all the way in a circle just like of the old wives' tale. They can turn it very far, of course, to see behind them. So that
All
helps
right,
with
Debbie.
the hearing.
Well, we're going to show a screen here with the number 799-2142. That's South Plains Wildlife. Debbie, thanks so much, and we'll see you next Friday with
Thank
somebody
you.
else. All right. And Stace will have a final check at the look of the weather and also picture of the morning, so stay tuned.
Near 60 degrees. We'll have a slight chance for some showers tomorrow morning. Temperatures this weekend, near 60. It's going to be pleasant.
It looks pretty nice. Looks pretty nice. Cool owl, huh?
Very cool.
Hootie.
Hootie. Nice.
Clever. I don't know where they get these. The raven 2 weeks ago was named Poe, and then, all right, yeah, exactly, for Edgar Allan Poe, and then the owl is Hootie, you know.
As in the blowfish.
I just don't know where they come up with it. All right, picture of the morning.
Picture of the
Let's
morning.
do it.
Okay, are you sick and tired of your cat taking over your furniture?
Well, why not buy that feline friend his own living room set? Texas man says it's not as outrageous as it sounds. Ty Code of San Antonio makes these kitty condos, and customers say, he's the cat's meow. Code is a former truck driver who started making the furniture after his wife complained the cats used the couch as a scratching post. Well, of course. Thanks for waking up to KLBK 13 this morning. Stay tuned for the early show. Join us again at noon.
Have a great day, everyone.
And we congratulate you and welcome you to the Chamber of Commerce. Would you like to say a few words?
For school, it's a happy place to be. Our kids are great. You're welcome to come visit us anytime. If you know anybody who needs an opportunity to be.
Okay, we'll cut it on 3. 2, 3.
It's like this.
Yeah. Too bad you still don't have your curls. First degree murder. You get that, then you get in the AR.
Watching us do our wisdom.
But they should have took them in right there and then and called their parents. That officer, we're still.